What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Devy Royale YouTube channel. We are here to talk everything week 3 of the NFL. We're going to start with the Nick Chubb injury. What is the fallout? What does it look like for the Browns moving forward? Stay with us after the intro. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll hit you on the other side. All right, guys. Like I said, we're here to talk week 3 of the NFL. The first 2 weeks have been some of the craziest things that I feel like I've seen in a long time. It's been a whirlwind. As a new Bears fan today, so we're recording this the day before. Really weird day for Bears fans. But let's talk about the Browns' outlook without Nick Chubb. Obviously, Nick Chubb lost for the season. Hopefully, back at some point in his career, but just a really, really terrible injury. He's going to have 2 surgeries. The Browns went out and signed Kareem Hunt earlier this week. Randy, how do you think they're going to piece this together with Jerome Ford primarily? Do you think that this will be, more of the split like Chubb and Hunt were when in Kareem's first stint in Cleveland? And do you think that like they have a shot to maintain a good offense?
Yeah, I'll kind of start with the last part first. I do think they can maintain this running aspect. Maybe not 100%, but I'd say 80 to 90% of what Nick Chubb was between the two. Um, yeah, I know Kevin tweeted out kind of like jokingly, like, this team chose Jerome Ford over Kareem Hunt in the offseason. Why are you guys freaking out? But there is like some truth to that. I mean, money wise, there was a thing there too, but they liked what they saw to Ford, and I do think they keep Ford as more of a lead back. I do think this is going to be probably 60-40 this week in Ford's favor. Uh, from what I've heard, Kareem's in game shape, but we'll figure that out on game day. There's no really test for that besides game days. But yeah, this seemed like a locked and loaded since Monday night. All I was hearing was, yeah, he's going there. There's no question. We're just figuring out the numbers. And I mean, that's exactly what it had. It's an incentive laden deal. I think he could probably hit a lot of them because I do think this is still going to be a team that's going to run easily 20 plus times a game. I think Jerome Ford's going to get 10 to 20 touches. I think we'll kind of see where that zone ends up this week. I do think it's going to be more 15 to 20 every week, with Kareem getting 10 to 15. And both are good pass catchers. Both are good on third down anyways, pass blocking. I think this will be a truly kind of 1-2 punch without like a change of pace. Really, the change of pace will just be the little bit faster Jerome Ford is the younger back. Not exactly the same as Chubb and Hunt, where they're kind of different running style guys.
Yeah, for what it's worth, Jerome Ford was very, very good when he took over for Nick Chubb. Actually graded out higher per Pro Football Focus. Had just a ton of yards after contact because he was breaking tackles and then bursting off massive runs. The one where he got hit like 5 yards in the backfield and then ended up with like a 9-yard gain was kind of bonkers. That was more impressive than the long one to me. But yeah, no, I agree. I think this offense though is we're gonna see if the quarterback can do it, because I don't know. The conversation I had is, no one's replacing Nick Chubb. Obviously, like that is a key component to your offense. I think they can piece it together to have a good rushing attack. I still think their offensive line is pretty good in run protection and run blocking, but I think if you have to throw more on the quarterback's shoulders, I think you might be in trouble, just from what we've seen so far. So I'm curious to see what that split looks like, if they do pass more or if they do just trot this out there as if Jerome Ford is getting in the Chubb role and Kareem Hunt slides into the Ford role or the old Kareem Hunt role.
Yeah, and that's why I did preface. I think they can keep a majority of the running offense. The passing offense, we still haven't really seen, besides a couple flashes each game of a good throw. The passing offense has been pretty abysmal. Also, it's the line's been great even with injuries. Dewan Jones, shout out, honestly played incredible on Monday. Shut down TJ Watt for a majority of the game, even though Watt still got his because it's TJ Watt. But
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the plays he was dominating. So I think that, and that's pass pro, which is his not best thing. So I think that's a good sign of what we can get for the future here. It's literally on Deshaun, plain and
Hmm.
simple. And unfortunately, through 2 games, that means a lot of losses.
It sure does. The one throw to Amari Cooper that looked like a throwaway that I don't think was a throwaway. Wild. It was like 30 yards over his head. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and that happened a lot in this game. And then you've got Brown's Twitter breaking down the film and showing that he's missing all the same wide open guys that Baker Mayfield used to miss. And it's bringing a lot back for Browns fans, I feel like. So, um,
Yeah.
next one. Are the Jaguars broken? So, the reason we asked this question, obviously, this game against the Chiefs this last week, certainly an interesting one. They failed to put the ball in the end zone. They had a ton of trips down to the red zone. They just failed. They were like 4 touchdown catches where the receivers couldn't get their feet in. But Travis Etienne didn't look good. The Chiefs' run defense was very good. Tank Bigsby didn't even see the field. Dearness Johnson was the backup in this game. Seemed like the rookie mistakes from week 1 sat him down on the bench. Trevor Lawrence, however, if you watch him with the eye test, you say, "That's a pretty good quarterback." He's gotten pretty unlucky with, certain things. But every advanced metric kinda indicates that he's having a bad year. He is got the 5th worst, EPA, and completion percentage over expectation composite score. His EPA per play in this game was negative -0.28, so he was just not, good for this offense, and this Jaguars offense, to me, had super high expectations this year. They've looked like a shell of what we thought they could be, especially in a Doug Peterson offense. Randy, do you think that it's too early to call them broken? Do you think they'll get it turned around? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would go with it's too early calling broken necessarily, but we've kind of already seen what's going on. And that's they're trying to figure out everyone's role in this offense. Week 1, it's Calvin Ridley's a focal point. Zay Jones is on the field the most. Christian Kirk is a complete afterthought. Week 2, Christian Kirk's worked into the offense this week. Ridley struggles to get going. Zay Jones can't keep his feet in bounds. And then the running game was abysmal. So they really need someone in that backfield to keep it going, and they need to kind of figure out where everyone's landing with the wide receivers. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear going into the season. Ridley would be your one, Kirk would be your go-to slot guy, and Zay would be your rotational third and the deep shot guy. I don't know why we were confused on that as the Jaguars offense going into this. ETN looked decent week 1, looked terrible last week, and we didn't get anything else from that running room. So, yeah, like you said, Lawrence has been unlucky, but they're still figuring out the system. I think it'll be better. This Chiefs defense looked really good, especially with the return of Jones, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that as the Chiefs defense goes forward, and we're going to see some improvement. But, I mean, unless it's quick game, Lawrence has never been an ultra efficient guy, anyways. So I
Mhm.
think we're going to still continue to see these like EPA struggles at different times this season, but we're going to see a lot more points than what they just put up.
Yeah, I think if you're a Jaguars fan, the good thing is he's grading really well, per PFF. He's still doing the good things. He's got like 8 big time throws, and I think the problem with it is unlucky. The tide will turn. It's a Doug Peterson offense too, and
Yeah,
I do think that Tank Bigsby gets back out there and kind of assumes that role that we thought would help this offense. I'm curious to see what that split looks like, especially with how rough ETN looked out there. But like we said, this game was kind of strange in that they should have put up, another 21 to 28 points in this game, or close to it. I think we can be patient with this offense, but for fantasy, Lawrence has to start scoring the ball.
yeah,
He needs to throw some touchdowns, get a little bit
maybe
of
half a second earlier.
yeah,
Just
yeah, exactly. Um, all right, Jameer Gibbs. So David Montgomery is going to take a while to heal, was the quote that he said earlier this week. Craig Reynolds got some run when he went down this last week, but everyone's kind of hoping that Jameer Gibbs gets some more run. Do you think it's Jameer Gibbs RB1 season, or is Craig Reynolds going to steal some
I
touches?
well, they're definitely going to run 2 running backs. I think that's just
Yeah.
obvious. That's their system. They're going to
Yeah.
continue that system. I think this will be close to Jameer Gibbs' RB1 season. This is the best way I can put this because I think he does get an uptick in touches. They're going to view him as the lead back. He's going to be the pass catching back and all that, but he's still not going to get, above a 60% workload. But that might be the highest he gets all season. So I think you're locked into playing him, and you're going to hope for the best results moving forward. Montgomery probably sits out a couple weeks and probably starts to work back in 3 weeks, my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah. So Gibbs is an interesting case because week 1 looked really good running the ball against that Chiefs defense without Chris Jones. Week 2 looked really bad running the ball, under 3 yards per carry. I think it was like 2.4 yards per carry. Not a great stat, honestly, but like still he got bottled up. But his pass catching workload went way up. He had, I believe, 7 catches this last week. So I think that's where we're going to get a lot of fantasy production. If you're in PPR leagues, I think you can roll Jahmyr Gibbs out with comfort now, especially Amon-Ra St. Brown could potentially miss. And I think that's going to be a bump to probably Sam Laporta, but definitely Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So
Reynolds, wide receiver 1. So
yeah, yeah, Josh Reynolds. We had a discussion on the Dynasty Football Show this week, and it was a trade for Jameson Williams. And you can approach everything with the Lions with 2 mindsets. Either Josh Reynolds is keeping that role because he's been so good in it, or Jameson Williams is taking that role and he's gonna go dominate. I think Josh Reynolds is probably keeping the role though, personally.
And Dynasty becomes an awkward question because, James Williams is taking that role, but is it this year? I don't know. Josh Reynolds, a holdover from Goff's pass, one of his favorite targets of all time.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe his role decreases, but he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Big facts. Big facts. All right, let's get it over to our game previews. If this is your first time watching this show, we do 3 game previews a week. We'll also give some against the grain fantasy starts here at the end of this video, so stay with us. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the storylines that we talked about here. Games we're going to cover: Falcons at Lions, Chargers at Vikings, and Eagles at Buccaneers. And Randy, when you got on, you said, I can't believe that the Eagles at Buccaneers is like a matchup that we have to cover. The truth is, this week of games, pretty rough, honestly. I mean, it's the NFL, so anything can happen. But when you look at the matchups, just bar for bar, these were the 3 that stood out to me. So I think that's saying something about this slate. This might be the weekend to, if you don't want to watch all the games, you could probably take this Sunday off, but also just go watch them because it's football.
The pumpkin patch, the apple picking weekend. I love to see it.
Yes, already week 3. All right. Falcons at Lions. It's crazy that this is a matchup that we're talking about too, but Falcons approached this game 2-0. Lions are 1-1 after a kind of disappointing end to their game against the Seahawks. They are favored by 3 at home. The over-under in this game is 46.5. David Montgomery's out. We kind of just talked about that running back room. I guess the fantasy question I have, obviously Drake London had a better day this last week. Bijan Robinson got a ton of touches. Tyler Algier, is that someone that you're still plugging into your lineup, even after last week a little more disappointing?
I think as an upside flex, I think he's still definitely viable. He still was in a lot of the goal line situations. He was still the back there. This week they kind of decided to throw more at the goal line than they did last week. Not the best results in that, so we'll see how that goes. He's still obviously like Bijan's like so far above him, very clearly on the field, but Algier's still really good, and I think he still has the goal line role. This is a game that 46.5, it's going to be one of the higher totals of the week. I think he can hit the over, and I think he might be able to get in for the end zone. He might not break a big play, but he might get you over a dozen, which, again, if we're talking about how this week of games is all not the best, 12 to 16 points for Reflex, it's going to be a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I really wanted to talk about this game in general, though, is these 2 offenses are 2 of the most creative in football. And this is going to be a really fun one to watch from a schematic standpoint. Ben Johnson is going to try to get in his bag. I know the Falcons are always in their bags to think out in motion, just throw short flat routes. So yeah, I'm gonna. Who are you taking in this one, Randy?
I had to take the Lions, simply because I almost root against Arthur Smith for how he uses his talent. So I'm gonna take the Lions. I will say if Amon Ra's out, I almost want to take the Falcons though. I think that's my hard line.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Lions, and I actually think we're gonna hit the over in this game. I think it's gonna be
Yeah, I think over is pretty safe.
yeah. All right, cool. Next game, Chargers at Vikings. Vikings just had a Cam Akers today, so that's significant, I guess. Over under in this game is 54. The Chargers are road favored in this game. It's a 1 point favorite. Austin Eckler, I put TBD. Did he practice yesterday? No.
I
I,
don't believe so, but I can double check here quick.
I also don't believe so. So in that case, Joshua Kelly, bit disappointing last week. Joshua Kelly in your lineups this week. That Vikings front will get bullied the same way that they did against the Eagles last week. I do feel pretty confident about that. Now, if it's Austin Eckler, you're looking at an RB1 overall week, probably. If it's Joshua Kelly, then I think you're looking at potentially a top 12 guy this week, is my personal stance on that backfield.
Yeah, Eckler hasn't practiced yet. He is a superstar, so we'll take the practices with a grain of salt where they might just not have him practice and he can still play.
Sure.
But like you said, if he is out, I think Kelly, this is the week that you picked him up for. Like last week, yeah, you picked him up, but we kind of knew that wasn't a great spot. He might fall in the end zone. That was going to be about it. This week, he could actually do some damage. This Vikings defense hasn't looked good. This Chargers offense has put up, I believe, the most points in football, and they're 0-2. So yeah. I think they're gonna get a win here. But this Vikings team's 0-2. This is a playoff team. I mean, this is gonna be an absolute battle. I think this will be what we thought the Jaguars and Chiefs would have been last week. The only difference is both these defenses haven't been that good, so we shouldn't have to worry about a low-scoring game.
Shouldn't. Those are always the trap games, though. I almost want to hit the under because everyone is probably going to smash the over, and then this is going to be one of those weird games where both defenses put it together. But it's tough for me to see that.
I heard people say the same thing with the Chargers Dolphins week 1, and it's like, okay, that didn't happen. So
yeah. Yeah, this is also one of those where I just don't think either side is going to be able to stop anyone. I guess, is there a third pass catcher that you're interested in starting? Are you interested in Gerald Everett at all on the Chargers
slightly. Yeah. That's a very okay, who are you starting him over? I guess would you rather start Gerald Everett or Kyle Pitts this week going against Detroit?
Probably Everett.
I think Everett. I will say they threw, like I said, the Falcons threw more in the red zone last week, and most of the targets went to Pitts. They were just terrible targets. So there's some upside there, but I think I would take Everett, who was kind of like a big down target last week. Anytime they were 3rd and 15 or something, it seemed like it went to him and not Allen and Evans or Allen and Williams, because they were, the focal points. And the wide receiver 3 for the Chargers, Palmer and Johnson, they haven't really stepped up. Everett's kind of going into that role, especially with Eckler out. If he's out again this week, I think I would be pretty comfortable playing him as a top 12 tight end.
Yeah. Who are you taking?
The Chargers. I almost want the Vikings. It's Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, Hawkinson. They're fun people to watch, but the Chargers are a better team.
I want to embrace the Vikings headed for Caleb Williams. That's what I want to happen. So I want them to lose this game so they go full tank mode, send Kirk Cousins out to New York, and
Jesus,
go dive fully into it. I don't think they're prepared to do that.
Listen, at this rate, they're going to send them to the Browns. So that's
true.
Cool on that.
That could happen. They have enough cap space to inherit his contract this year. So,
This year, not
yeah,
next.
yeah, definitely not. I'm taking the Chargers and I'm taking the over in this game. So
Same.
cool. All right. Third game that we are previewing, the Eagles at the Buccaneers. This is one of the two Monday Night Football matchups, which I wish we would not do this, honestly, because they're overlapping. If you give me the like the stacked, give me the 7 o'clock start and the 9 p.m. start, I'm good with that. I'm good
Give,
with that because I can watch parts of it. But 7 and 8, stop doing that. I don't like
give
that.
me 6 and 8. Give me 5 and 8. Like,
Yeah,
let me
yeah,
get off work and have football on. That's my dream.
yeah, yeah.
That's why
Shout out to the people on
Saturdays
the
are
West
great.
Coast. Right. So this one, Eagles are 4.5 point road favorites, and in this one, over under is 45.5. Kenneth Gainwell TBD, but also doesn't matter. Did DeAndre Swift take over that backfield? I guess we could find out in this one. Uh, Unfortunately, this is not a good matchup for running backs. The Buccaneers defense has looked very good. Baker Mayfield is balling. We were talking about it. He's graded as the third best per PFF. He's looked like one of the top tier quarterbacks in the NFL through 2 weeks. Granted, one of them was against the Bears secondary, who was missing their two starting safeties at one point in this game, on top of missing their starting slot corner. There was a lot wrong with the Bears defense. There's a lot wrong with the Bears defense in general, including their coordinator. But I think Baker has kind of showed that he can, sustain this a little bit more than he has in recent years. Do you believe in that? Do you think that this Eagles defense is going to give him issues?
Yes. Specifically because, I mean, it's every quarterback's like worst nightmare, but we saw a lot that, when like Cam Hayward and Calais Campbell got pressure up the middle quick, that Baker threw picks. And
Yep.
if there's a guy that's very clearly going to get through the middle of the field, defense, offensive line, so Jesus, really quick, that's Jalen Davis. And
Jalen Carter.
that's
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter, sorry.
Yeah.
He's going to absolutely wreck this offensive line that's already banged up again for the Buccaneers. And man, I feel bad for Baker. He's looked good. I've been happy for him. I think he's going to have a bad game. And we're going to have a lot of cool Jets. I do hope he proves me wrong. That's going to be on the offensive line, in my opinion. If he's given any sort of time, I think they'll be in a competitive game here. This defense should be able to halt the Eagles' rushing attack, and the secondaries looked good enough. The linebackers have looked good enough to kind of halt the passing game a bit. The big time plays down the field, I'm not sure they're going to be able to stop, but the intermediate stuff, I think they can handle. I think this is a team that can shut down Goddard. This could be a good matchup. It's literally on the Bucs offensive line.
I agree. They've played well, but once again, they played the Bears. Like the Bears
They
don't
haven't
have.
played this. Yeah, that's the
Yeah. This feels like this is the time where we find out if the Bucks are real and if Baker Mayfield's real, or if he kind of reverts back. I will say Baker Mayfield did get pressured a lot last week, and he performed well under pressure. Now, most of that pressure came from the outside, from the exterior of the pass rush, and there were guys hanging all over him, and he was completing passes. It was crazy. Haven't really seen that from Baker in a long time, maybe ever. So I'm excited to watch this game. I will say that. On the other side, I'm starting DeAndre Swift despite all of the bad matchups. Like I'm throwing him in my flex. I'm not expecting a whole lot, but I think I'm comfortable with it after that awesome
if
performance.
Gainwell's out, I think it's a must play in your flex. Even if he's not going to get 170 yards on the ground, but even if he can get 50 or 60 and catch a couple of passes, he's still a flex relevant play. He has a chance to get in the end zone.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you think's winning this game?
I gotta go Eagles. I think this defensive line is too good. I think they're going to get pressure on Baker, and he hasn't made mistakes, and that's the thing. Baker's been in a rhythm. He's played confident. He hasn't made mistakes. If you get him off his rhythm at all, is when he's been absolutely terrible. Again, most quarterbacks do that, but the quarterbacks that lose starting jobs are the ones that fall off the absolute mountaintop without question the second anything's there. And again, he played pretty well under pressure last week, like you said. I think he has a chance, but this Eagles team's crazy. I gotta go Eagles.
I'm gonna take the Buccaneers.
I hope they have a chance.
Yeah, I'm
Playing
gonna
so
take
I
the
hope this is a great game.
I'm gonna take the Bucks, but I'm gonna take the under because I think that their recipe for winning is,
Yeah,
their defense holds this Eagles offense
yeah,
under control. So, and maybe it's they cover and they don't actually win, but 4.5 points is kind of a lot with how good the Bucks have looked. I don't know. I think that's a weird line.
yeah. This
Kind
is
of.
in Tampa, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really 7.5.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Let's talk about our against the grain fantasy starts. Last week you had Nico Collins. Nico Collins is balling.
Yeah,
So good call last week. Who do you have this week?
yeah. I won't be able to use Nico for this segment anymore. So I went with Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown this week, depending on your site. Uh,
Right.
so this team has been better than expected, I'd say. Competition levels necessarily they faced the first 2 weeks, that's up for question. They're playing Dallas this week. This will be by far their biggest game. They probably should have beat the Commanders. They probably should have beat the Giants. I don't think they beat the Cowboys, but worst case here, they go down a lot and he gets more targets. He is their wide receiver one, undoubted, unquestioned. He's played really well. Um, I mean, I hope his target share goes up. I know he's like in the 20s of target share. Um, there just hasn't been a ton of passing opportunities, and that's really the reason why. They kind of opened it up a bit more last game. I think he can kind of get over like a 30% target share for this team this week. Um, he's getting almost 2 points a touch. So that's the thing with him. If he can just keep going up, he's a big play guy. Um, I mean, currently from Fantasy Pros, he has a better points per touch than Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb right now. This defense is really good. They've only they're really limited wide receivers this year, but the volume should be there for Hollywood this week. Again, this is against the grain. This is the best
Mhm.
matchup he might face all year on defense, besides maybe the 49ers. So that's where it kind of comes into question. But if there's someone on this team that's going to do it, it has to be Hollywood.
Yeah. Shout out Josh Dobbs last week, man.
Played his
Um,
ass off.
yeah, he did. He's playing confident. He's doing a lot of good things. Um, Speaking of Josh Dobbs, I've had conversations about Josh Dobbs versus Justin Fields. Justin Fields is my against the grain fantasy start this week. And the reason he's my against the grain fantasy start is because a lot of people are going to be pretty off of him. The fantasy points haven't all been there for him this year. He's, finished QB 15 or lower, I believe, in each of the first 2 weeks. A lot of stuff happened yesterday where Justin Fields basically said, like, I need to play free. I need to stop thinking out there. Uh, there was a media narrative where it sounded like he was blaming his coaches, but really he was just saying, like, the coaches are giving me all this information. They're doing their job. I just need to be me. I think we're going to see a different version of Justin Fields this week. I know that this Chiefs defense that just made Trevor Lawrence look bad ish. That's kind of exaggerating a bit. He still looked good. But this Chiefs defense is very good. I think this is a pretty tough matchup, and I think that that's a reason why people would want to sit Justin Fields. I think we're going to get more design quarterback runs. I think we're going to get Justin Fields playing free, which will allow him to push the ball downfield a little bit more. I think this is the get right game. I know a lot of people are jumping off ship. There are some bad things that Justin Fields has done over the last 2 weeks that have concerned even me. I texted Randy. I said, I don't know if he's going to be the starter next year, which is a long way from where I've been on Justin Fields in the past. But I do think this is going to be the week where we know, is he going to be the starter? Is he going to go play free? Or are we going to see some growth? Like there are a lot of things that we can see this week. I think we're going to see a good fantasy performance this week. So I'm starting him. I'm riding it, and I think the Bears are actually going to put up some points against the Chiefs this week.
Yeah, they're going to need to. In fairness, this Chiefs offense doesn't look that great either. So I think they have a chance here if they open up this playbook and let Justin be a bit more free and out of structure a bit more. they can really do some things. Justin, that's where he thrives. Um, in all honesty, a lot of the struggles last week for Trevor Lawrence were in structure. That's where the Chiefs, if you're just going to sit in the pocket, that's where the Chiefs want you. They don't want guys like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields rolling out of the pocket, making big plays. That's where they can really destroy you. So I think that's what your attack's got to be this week. I think you got to get back to more design quarterback runs. I don't know why we're getting away from the strengths of the quarterback. That's terrible coaching. It doesn't make any sense. So I think there's a lot on him, and he's rightfully taking that on the chin. Not blaming the coaches, but there's a lot on the coaches. I think Fields can really turn it around this week.
I hope so, man.
There's a lot of places that you're not going to have someone else that you could play over him, but obviously, I think I'm playing Kirk Cousins over him, but Geno Smith, are you playing Geno over him this week?
I have that legitimate question, and I'm just playing Justin Fields and hoping that the runs come. So
I'm trying to, I was trying to give realistic examples. Daniel Jones or Justin Fields.
Jones is going to throw 3 picks this week.
Daniel Jones without, obviously going against San Francisco, but also without Saquon. Now the game's on him.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
Yeah. So I do think Fields is, maybe it's a QB 12 to 15 week, but honestly, I think I'll take that if some of the aspects that we need from him are back.
Yeah, I think they will be. I still have faith, surprisingly.
Of course. He's a great quarterback.
I watched the film 3 times, dude. I watched the all-22 version 3 different ways. I watched it myself, I watched JT O'Sullivan, and I watched Nick Whalen all break down this film, and there was a lot less to worry about than I thought before I watched the film. So I think we're going to see a bounce back. We'll see. I mean, I'm just going down with the shit. If it goes down, I'm going down with it. So we're starting him this week, baby. All right. Anything else to add before we get out of here, Randy?
No. Let's hope the games go above expectations, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll be back here next week. You can find this on the Deborah Royale podcast feed. So if you're on YouTube, make sure you go download, subscribe. We also put out a college reaction show on Saturdays. If you're into Dynasty, if you're into Devy, if you're into college football, this is a good channel for you to subscribe to. So like I said, drop a comment. Let us know what you think. Do you believe in Justin Fields? Do you believe in Hollywood Brown? Despite the iffy matchup, let us know. We'll be interacting in the comments down there. Until then, we'll talk to you guys next time. Thanks for watching.